Cool. Hey, hi everyone. I am Rudra. Currently, I am working as the head of engineering at GrowMeOrganic. I'll talk about myself later on, but let's discuss what I have to talk about here at Get Together. No, that my topic is basically branch preview and beyond. So before I jump into what I'm going to discuss into this branch preview and beyond this topic, let's play a small quiz. Do you guys know about these logos? Anyone? Anyone know this one? By the way, let's start from the beginning. Yeah, obviously there is React. This one? Yeah, it's Vue. Pretty famous. This one? Svelte. Awesome. This? Next.js, obviously. This one is little tricky. Yeah, this is solid, obviously. And this one is pretty famous. It's Angular, right? So, yeah, I missed Astro. Cool. So these are pretty famous front-end frameworks, and obviously my talk is all, going to be around this front-end frameworks, right? So let's see the problem statement first. So the problem statement is, it is hard to basically test changes in every branch, every GitHub repository branch, which slows things down and can cause mistake in production. What does it mean by what this problem statement is? I'll elaborate later, but I'll show you how a basic branch structure look like in any of the organization, right? Can you guys raise your hand? I mean, how many of you are actually a working professional, by the way? Okay, and how many of you are actually a student? Okay, probably my talk will basically help both of you, right? So you'll get something that you can actually go at home and implement on your project, maybe on your organization, right? So this is how a normal basic branch structure look like, where you have a main branch, which basically goes into this is your basically production branch. I mean, this main branch is the one where everything happens after the testing, right? No one basically touches this main branch. Then you have development branch. Few of the companies will have more intermediate branches like QA, staging, and other branches, right? And then you have other feature branches which other developer will work on, right? Depending upon the feature that you have in for your project, right? And this is how a normal deployment look in most of the organization, right? So your main branch code directly goes into your main domain, domain.tld, whatever you, let's say google.com, right? Or let's say microsoft.com, right? So whatever is present in your main branch generally goes into the main domain of your organization, or maybe of your product, right? And then you have a dev branch, which is basically not very visible to normal users or normal public, but it is something that your team test internally, right? So when you have a couple of changes piled up into the development branch, then maybe someone from the testing team, or maybe non-technical stakeholders will come and basically test out features which is present in the development branch, right? So this is how a normal deployment looks like for the front-end project in most of the organization, assuming at least 90% or 70% of the organization, right? Cool. It comes, I mean, this deployment looks really nice, but it comes with a couple of problems. We'll discuss each of the problems, right? So these are the few problems which I have mentioned here, like lack of isolated testing environment, increased risk of errors, slower development life cycle, overburdened resources, and difficulty in stakeholder feedback. So we will see these problem statement one by one. So let's start with the lack of isolated testing environment. What does it mean by lack of isolated testing environment? So let's say you're working in a team where you have 4 or 5 developers working on a single repo and single project, right? And now someone from the stakeholder asks you to, or maybe a user request for some feature, right? So let's say some developer started working on some X feature, right? So that developer is going to make those changes in that particular, let's say he created a new branch from the development branch and he started working on it, right? Now the problem is that when the developer is working on that specific branch, he or she do not have any isolated environment for that particular branch where he can test it on actually a browser, not on his local system, right? Then what actually happens is testing requires merging into staging or production. So in order for the tester, or for the, let's say, product manager or non-technical stakeholder, if they want to test it, they will have to basically, I mean, the developer will have to basically merge it into the development branch, or whatever branch you use to basically for the testing purposes, maybe QA or staging, right? Then there's a chance that undetected bugs will slip through the process, right? Why it can happen? Because see, in any of the product or any of the organization, there's not only a single developer who is working on a specific project. There are a couple of developers. So there will be a bunch of features going on at the same time, right? So when the time comes, let's say you in your organization release goes on Friday, right? So when the time comes, all of those branches will get merged, right, into the development branch. And now you have a couple of features to test on, right? Even it will, I mean, it is going to be a little difficult for the testers as well to test out each of those features, right? And again, bugs causes issues in production leading to rework. Again, the developer will have to create a new branch, and this cycle will goes on. So this is how this is what is lack of isolated testing environment is. This problem is. Next, again, increased risk of error. So again, let's say if a developer makes some code changes in an isolated branch, let's say feature one branch, he created a branch feature one, and he started working on it. And what the problem is that he will have limited or no live preview for that specific branch update, right? He'll have that preview on his local machine, right? You run it on localhost, let's say 5743 or some other port, right? But it will be there on your local system, right? No product managers, no CXOs will be able to test it, right? No, and you are not going to hand over your laptop to everyone in the team, right? It will be a little difficult process for you. So at the end, you only have one option, that you merge your changes without tester actually testing those features into the development, not in the production branch, not in the main branch, but into the development branch. Then again, you will have a couple of features. There will be a bunch of features that will be merged into the development branch. Again, people will give their feedback, product manager will give their feedback, CXOs will give their feedback. Like they'll have some opinion, like I want an updated version of this feature, or I don't like this feature, remove it, etc. There's much more can happen, right? So again, that I mean, those issues can happen, and again the developer will have to basically rework, and basically developer might have to urgently work on a specific feature, right? Again, the developer will come back and he'll have to work on the again a new branch, and this cycle will go on. Again, the next thing is slower development cycle. Whatever I have spoken till now, right? If these problem will occur, no, what these problem will lead to a slower development life cycle, obviously, right? If you'll have to rework over a same feature again and again, how are you going to release your changes quickly, right? If you're working in a startup, you know how important it is for you to basically release those changes, changes quickly, right? And you, if you're really serious about your product and or your organization, you'll never want to release a buggy code, right, into the production. Again, so slower development cycle, how this looks like: developer creates multiple branches for different features, right? Testing require manual setup or merging into the staging or the development branch. Again, there will be a couple of bugs which will be detected by product manager, maybe in the dev branch, not even the main branch. But if it is detected into the development branch, the developer will have to again create a new branch, and again they'll have to work for a couple of days to resolve that issue, right? Just to take the feedback, they'll have to basically merge the PR, right? Merge the branch. And if you want to merge, I mean most of the organization follow some rules, and they have their standards, right? If you want to merge a branch, you'll have to go through code reviews and whatnot, right? There will be a couple of code reviews, right? So again, if you'll have to fix those changes, you'll have to create a new branch, and then you'll work on those changes, on those feedbacks maybe, and which will eventually slow down the process, right? Every time you'll want to test something, you will have to basically merge your changes into the development branch, right? And this is how it will lead to a slower development life cycle, right? Then we have overburdened resources. What do I mean by overburdened resources? So the thing is that since you're not the only one who is working on a specific project or a specific repository, there will be a couple of developers working on a single repo, right? So if your deployment look like this one, all of your developer will be dependent on the development branch, right? If anyone have to test anything into an isolated environment, they'll have to wait for their chance, so that their branch can get merged into the development or staging or QA branch, whatever you use, right, in your organization, right? So there will be there will be a couple of developers who will be waiting for their chances, and what it will lead to that more developer will have to wait, and more developer will be merging their branches directly into the development branch, and now dev branch will have a bunch of changes to test out before they release, before they give their feedback for anyone, for the testing team, or for the product manager, or for anyone who is going to check those changes, right? Again, this will delay the process, and again your development branch is overburdened by the responsibilities to manage or test out the changes that other developers are working on in different branches, right? So this is what overburdened resources look like. Then again, you get difficulty in stakeholders feedback. So right, if you are working in a not a really big team, if you are working in a small team, there's a chance that your CXO is also working with you, maybe CEO, CFO, CEO, right? And they'll have their opinion. They'll directly speak to the developer. They'll directly give feedback to the developer that I want this X feature, user is requesting for that specific feature, right? Now let's say you as a developer started working on that specific feature, right? Now if you want to showcase that specific feature to, let's say, some CXO or some product manager, you will have to again wait for your chance so that it can get merged into the development branch, and then that CXO or some stakeholder will be able to give that feedback, right? Because you're not going to give your laptop to CXO or any of the stakeholders, right? That's the only way that you can do it. So again, if you have to take feedback from stakeholders, then you'll have to wait. This will basically slow down the development cycle, and obviously stakeholder will have to rely on few things. Maybe to fashion up the process, you might want to share some screenshot or maybe some recording that this is how the feature looks like. But again, it will be difficult for anyone to test out from screenshots or from videos, right? So yeah, this is one of the problem which can happen when your deployment look like this, right? So what if we have an isolated environment for every branch of our repository, right? Think of it like every developer who is working on a specific branch, what if they have a specific isolated URL that they can share amongst their team member, amongst stakeholders, among product managers, among testing engineers, right? And they can take their feedback, right? They can directly take their feedback even before their PR reviews, right? Even before you submit your PR to your manager, you can directly take feedback from testers, directly take feedback from stakeholders, right? You don't have to wait for anything. What if we have an isolated environment for every branch of our repository? If we have, this is how your deployment is going to look like. Every branch will have a unique URL which they can again share with anyone, and they can have a really good feedback. Think of it, it can save a couple of weeks for you. There will be a lot of you can save a lot of reworks, right? Since you'll have a feedback before you even ask for someone to merge your PR, right? So this is how a better deployment look like if you have a unique URL or an isolated environment for each of your branches, right? Can we do it manually? Obviously. Any DevOps engineer can go and basically deploy whatever you worked on any of the branches into some subdomain of your organization, right? It is not that difficult for any DevOps engineer to actually go and deploy a URL, but we don't do that here, right? We all are engineers. We don't like manual work, right? Obviously, we'll never do it manually. No DevOps engineer is going to do it manually, right? So yeah, why are we still here? Let's see it in action. How can we do it, right? So I'll show you how can we do it. It's quite simple. Obviously, it was there in my title, right? We can take help from GitHub Pages, right? This can help, and this can basically streamline the CI/CD process so that you do not have to manually deploy each of your branches into an isolated environment, right? And it's quite easy, right? I'll show you. So I'll show you with an example first. So this is my website, by the way. If you want, I mean, I created it yesterday, so it's nothing much. There is a QR. You can connect with me if you want. This will take you to this website, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn, GitHub, Twitter, or Stack Overflow, anywhere. Cool. But this is not the interesting part. The interesting part is that this is basically deployed on Cloudflare Pages, right? Now I'll show you the process, right? Now I'll show you how it works in actually action. So this is my PR. Sorry, this is my repository. By the way, an interesting question for everyone. I mean, you can answer me after my talk. You can open this URL and try figuring out what framework I might have used to build this website. By the way, it's super fast. It's blazingly fast. I'll show you the network tab as well. So if I'll refresh my page, yeah, you can see it only takes 108 milliseconds, right? It's super fast. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, an interesting question. What framework I might have used to build this website, right? Think of it. Again, now let's come back to the repository. Now this is my repo. This is my main branch, right? And I have created actually a couple of pull requests, and I have created a couple of features, right? I'll show you. So let's say this is my some feature branch for which I have created some repository, and I've given a cool description as well, right? And after this description, if you'll see, there's a comment by Cloudflare worker and pages bot, which will basically add a branch preview URL, right? This is something that I can share with my product manager, with my testing team, or with any of the CXOs, right? Even before I ask my manager to merge my PR, right? So if I'll open this, by the way, so this is my original website, and this is my feature one website where my work was to add basically a feature one text. Really hectic work, And again, this is one of my branches. Now let's go to another branch. This feature 2 branch. Again, I have my branch preview URL here as well. So now if you'll see, both of them are deployed in an isolated environment. Both of them have a different URL, a different feature. Like here you can see it's feature 2 and it is a feature 1, and this is my main production branch, you can say, production website, you can say. So all this can happen without even you getting involved into any kind of DevOps related work, right? You do not have to worry too much about this. Now the thing is that you do not even have to worry too much in order to create this website, and even you do not have to worry too much about deleting this website. When I'll merge this PR, this page or this website will vanish off in couple of weeks, right? So I'll do not have to worry too much about myself. Cool. So these were a couple of the features. This in action. I'm showing you what this is going to look like. And now I'm going to give you like a quick walkthrough of how you can do it on your own. It's quite simple. You do not have to worry too much about it. If you are a student, you can also do it just to deploy your websites, right? I mean, you might have used Netlify, right? I mean, this is another option. And if you are working with your team members, it's again a good option. You can give it a try. It also has a couple of more features which I will talk about at the end of my talk. But again, let's come back to the walkthrough. So what you will have to do, nothing major, just come to the Cloudflare dashboard, log in, create your account. You will have a page like this. I have already created this one, that's why you're seeing this, but initially you won't see something like this, right? What you'll have to do, nothing much, just come here on the worker and pages section, click on it. It will take you to this page where you'll have to just go to this page section and then connect your Git. It will ask you to basically add your account. Then I have to click on this add account. This will again ask you to choose your repo and then I mean, you can select basically a couple of repo, but right now for this moment, let's say I only want to select only a single repo, right, which is basically this repo. This repo is Rudra Gupta, my name, that's it, nothing much. So once you're done with all these changes, you will be back to this kind of page. So once you're done with this, your what you'll have to do, there's one more step I think I missed. There's another repo which is nothing major. I'll select it. It will take me to the Cloudflare dashboard. Now, okay, some production issues. It can happen anytime. Majorly when you're showing it to everyone. Cool. Anyways, it will take you to this kind of a dashboard. Cool. Then you will have to basically select your repository. I have selected 2 repos, that's why it's showing me 2 repo. So let's say I use this repo, right? Then I'll have to click again on begin steps. Now here comes the interesting part. Here comes, that's why I've asked you in the beginning of the talk, like, can you guess few of the frameworks? So right now Cloudflare support most of the framework that you can think of, right? If you're working on Angular, or you're working on Next.js or Svelte, or maybe Vue, or even I think it also supports Astro, which I missed in that list, no? Or obviously React. So any framework, you can select any of those framework, and let's say if that is a React project, then you'll have to select the React, and you'll have to obviously give your build command, and the output directory where your build is finally going to be, and then you can have your more I mean, if you have any environment variable, you can add it here. I mean, few other settings, nothing major, and then you'll have to click on save and deploy. So once you will click on save and deploy, it is going to take you to this dashboard where it is actually going to deploy your website directly into Cloudflare Pages, right? And you will be given with some URLs which you can open directly. You do not have to I mean, in the beginning, you do not have to have any domain. Cloudflare will do it on its own. I have my domain, and that's why I have connected my domain. So do not have to even worry about buying a domain and before you deploy into the app, into some isolated environment, right? Now, coming back to my slides, there's one more thing. There's last slide that I have to discuss, which is not just this. There is more. There are a couple of more things which Cloudflare has to offer to everyone, right? First is global content delivery, or global CDN, if I'll say, right? If you guys are aware of what CDN is, it's an interesting thing. I've shown you, right, that my website is blazingly fast. So CDN also plays a vital role in speeding up your website across the globe. You do not have to basically think about it when you're in any place in the world, right? You can open it anywhere, and the speed will be almost same, right? You do not have to worry too much. So global CDN, I think most of the people are already aware of CDN, but if you're not, if you're a student, if this is something new to you, this is an interesting thing, I'll highly recommend you guys check out what CDN is. Cool. Then again, you have built-in caching. So most of your CSS JavaScript file will be cached by Cloudflare itself. You do not have to actually worry too much about caching and these stuffs. I'll show you in action about this as well. So if I'll take you back to my website, and I'll open my network tab. See, there's one thing. There's one interesting thing for you all. See, there's only one API request was there, which is rudra.gupta.xyz. Other CSS, JS, and any image, these all files are taking 0 millisecond to load. Why is it happening? Any guesses? Obviously, it's cached. So Cloudflare offers built-in caching. You do not have to cache your static files, right? And if you'll see in this size section, you'll see this is memory cache. So obviously your static files get cached into your memory, right? So all this is being managed by Cloudflare. You do not have to do anything, right? You just have to deploy your website into Cloudflare. Nothing much, right? Then again, what are the things we have? We have scalability. Obviously, you do not have to worry too much about while scaling it. You do not have to own a server. You do not have to buy a server. You do not have to think about how am I going to scale server, as I will have a spike in my users. Users will see no trouble while visiting your website, right? Also, it has security enabled. I'll show you what security enabled, what do I mean by security enabled in action. So basically, it saves you with a couple of attacks like DDoS attack. You might have already seen that. What you might already know what DDoS attack is. I'll show you it in action as well. What DDoS attack is. Oh, okay, not DDoS attack. How it can prevent you from DDoS attack, right? So here, if I'll come back to my dashboard, now if you'll see, if I will refresh my page or if I'll visit my page, nothing much. It opens my website beautifully, but there's one thing which I'll show you. Yeah, so here under a quick action, I can enable this under attack mode. So now this is just a click on under attack mode, nothing much. I do not have to worry too much about what quick action or what this under attack mode is going to do. Cool. Now if I'll visit my page, I hope it works. Cool. It never works when you're showing it to everyone, right? Yeah. So now when I visited my page, it asked me for why again a normal, are you a bot check, which I am obviously not, but this can basically help you in DDoS attack and other kind of attack, other kind of bot attacks, or if you want to prevent your website from bots, right? This is again an interesting thing. Let me turn it off. Cool. Back to my slide. Then again, you can connect your custom domain. There's nothing much you have to worry about while connecting your domain. You just have to point your domain to Cloudflare IPs. Nothing much. You do not have to think too much while connecting your custom domain. It's quite easy. You can search it on YouTube, or I can show it to you guys. It's quite simple. It's, so in my worker and pages, I can be here. And yeah, here we have a custom domain section. If I have to set up a custom domain, I can just click on custom domain. I'll have to enter my domain. That's it. It will ask you to do a couple of things with your DNS dashboard, nothing much, and that will basically connect your domain. Again, an interesting thing is that not only your main branch, but you can connect a custom domain for your couple of other branches as well. I mean, if you have a staging branch, for which you want to have a specific custom domain, you do not want to have a random URL, right, for your staging brand or a testing brand. So you can have a like qa.xyz.com or like dev.xyz.com, right? So you can connect your custom domain in a couple of branches, right? This is again an interesting feature. Now coming back to the slide, last is all of this is free of cost. All of this is free of cost. You do not have to even take out your credit card in order to implement any of the thing which I explained till now in my slides, right? Everything is free of cost. Even the scaling part, for the scaling part, even if you get, let's say, millions of users, do not have to pull out your credit card. It's always free. It is going to be always. I have searched why is it is always free a couple of months ago. So I don't remember actually, but yeah, it is free and it is going to be free by it is by Cloudflare. Cool. So yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about. I'm open for all kind of question. Any question? Anything? Yeah. Yes.
How did you link your GitHub page to this?
Yeah. So I have already shown you that. So there's nothing much. You can come here on Cloudflare. There's a worker and pages section, which is that. Yeah. See, there's a worker and pages section. Once you'll click on it, it will take to you this dashboard. Then you have to click on create. Then it will, you'll just have to follow along with the process, right? You'll click on here pages. It will ask you to connect your Git. It will take your GitHub password and it will ask you to allow for your few of your repository. And then that's all that you need to do. And yeah.
Can you just explain briefly about what are the workers? Like I see some LLM, some AI, and some containers also.
Okay, so workers is again another service by Cloudflare. My talk is not related to worker, but I'll give you a quick brief of what worker is. So worker is, if you have heard about AWS Lambda. Have you heard about AWS Lambda? Again, alternate service of AWS. Yeah, cool. So this is what workers is. Any questions related to worker, by the way? Any question? Yeah.
Support React routes like GitHub pages if it
Sorry, can you repeat?
In React we have routes now.
Yeah.
So it will support if we deploy that.
Yeah, an interesting thing which I want to add to this, not just React route, it also supports server-side rendering with global CDN, which is and again an interesting thing. I don't know how they are doing it, but this is something which is really cool to me. I mean, you might have already heard that if you want or if you have to deploy your Next.js project, you will have to use Versa or else you'll have to suffer a lot if you want to deploy on some of your custom servers, right? But somehow Cloudflare smoothen this process. You do not have to worry too much for this server-side rendering. Also, Astro also supports server-side rendering. So yeah, you can connect. I mean, you can deploy your Astro websites as well. Cool. Yeah, and yeah, your question.
So you had that featured one .rudra.com या .xyz.
Mm-hmm.
तो वो जब भी आपने GitHub पे pull request डाला, तो Cloudflare automatically made that link and gave it to you.
Correct. Not on the pull request, but yeah. So yeah, can you repeat your question? Okay. So his question is basically when does Cloudflare creates a unique URL when I create a PR on my branch? Is it right? Right. So not on PR, but when you will commit your code in any of the branch and when you will publish your branch, Cloudflare will instantly deploy your URL. On PR, it will add comment that this is the preview URL. But once you publish your branch, you can go to Cloudflare dashboard and get the URL for that specific branch. This is an interesting thing. Cool. Any other question by the way? Yeah.
So if there is a high traffic going on in my website, so does it work or do I have to pay after a while?
You never have to pull your credit card if you're just using Cloudflare Pages. That's my thing.
Even for many millions.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. You have.
So how did it impacted your testing? Like, so you were able to do this regression testing, I guess, with this URL. What other benefits is there?
So I mean, it's not. Yeah. So yeah. So he's asking basically how it basically impacts our testing process, how it basically fastens up our process. Is it your question, right? So not specifically for the automated testing, but there are cases when you want to showcase your changes and showcase the feature to the manager or maybe to the product manager or maybe to some CX or some stakeholder, right? Before you make it live, or you want to have some feedback, right? So and when your testing engineers manually test the website, right? So this comes handy in that case. Cool. By the way, you can always, you can run the automated test with GitHub Actions anyways. So you can implement that as well. Yeah.
Is there limitations for Cloudflare? Like, can you create as many as your preview URLs for it?
Yeah, you can create as many as you want, as per my understanding. I have never faced any issue. In my team, I have 3 engineers working on the project. They create a couple of branches. Every engineer have 2-3 branches, so I have never faced any issues till now. Cool. Yeah, you were saying something?
So obviously, I think from an architecture perspective, having more isolation is always great. But then I'm also curious about how this will solve the problem of facing out issues when 2 features are impacting each other. So this, as my understanding, is isolating at the feature level. But then one great thing about having a dev instance is obviously when 5 features are being merged, that's when we actually see the majority of issues. At least in my team, that's how we
Correct.
So does having a feature specific isolation also impact inter-feature dependent stuff? Maybe
Yeah, so
something, as you mentioned, like cache or something of that sort.
Cool. So I'll explain. I'll speak on this. So this is not an framework or a solution related problem. This is an engineering problem. So how do we deal with this problem? How my team deal with, how I have implemented a process in my team to deal with this problem is that any developer can create any number of branches and they can work on different features. And let's say we have a release on Friday, right? And there are a bunch of features which are interdependent, right? So I have set up let's say I have a kind of a process where every time a developer raises any PR, everyone in the team, since we have a really small team, I mean, we have only 5 engineers in my team, including me. So everyone in the team will have to actually go and test that specific change that developer has raised in that PR, right? So everyone will have to basically test those features, and we actually write it into the description that I have tested this specific branch, right? So this is how we test each isolated branches, each isolated environment, and once every features get merged into the development branch, again the testing happen. This basically slows down the testing process, since we are doing the test twice, but it basically gives us a relief in terms of bugs, right? We do not have to worry too much about bugs, since we are doing it twice. We are testing everything twice. So yeah, again, this is an engineering problem. So this is how we deal with it. We have,
You don't have QA.
yeah, that's the QA environment. We do not have multiple environments. There's only,
You don't have people who are testing.
we have people. I test and my whole team tests. That's the thing. We do not have a separate engineer. That, again, a small startup. We have a limited number of engineers. We can afford a limited number of engineers. So everyone in the team collaborates to basically test each of the features. This is how we do. At least until we hire an independent testing engineer, right? Yeah. Any other questions by the? Yeah.
I think what he is referring to is basically local or developer state testing in your feature branch, right? For your individual features. Am I right?
I didn't get that. Can you repeat?
So you're saying that whenever you roll out a new feature,
Mhm.
you test it in your feature branch.
Correct.
obviously.
Correct.
And then after that, you again test it as a team.
Correct.
So when you're doing the individual testing, is it a development testing? Do you have test cases ready? How do you go about it?
So see, most of the test case that we write now, it's already being taken care by GitHub Actions. I do not have to. I mean, Cloudflare Worker and Pages do not have to worry too much about this, right? It's an independent and different problem and different solution it works on, right? So the test cases happens on the GitHub Actions. Then we manually go and we test out each feature. Then again, when all those branches get merged, again that GitHub Actions runs, that those test cases runs, and once everything is sorted, once we are done with the test cases, the checks, the lints check, the other check that we add in the GitHub action, then we go for the manual testing, right, before the release.
So per se, like for your deployment previous or prior to deployment, you don't have a pipeline which is contains all of the edge cases or any QA cases.
So see, how will you manage this edge cases? The term you are referring to, edge cases. What are you referring to edge case? What do you mean by edge cases?
So usually what I mean by that is when I let aside the team of QA because you guys are very small
Mhm.
at this moment. So what I'm referring to is building a deployment pipeline. So do you have a deployment pipeline at place?
Yeah, that's the deployment pipeline.
Okay, and then you guys manually test it, right? There's no automation for that purpose except the GH action.
Correct. We manually test it. There is no automation at this moment. We have plans to implement this. I mean, you must have heard this about the Cypress, right? Okay, cool. So Cypress is again another interesting library which you can use for automating the testing process, which we have implemented it. But again, if you want to include it into your CI/CD pipeline, you will have to pay. We don't pay. We are just a startup. We can manage. I mean, at this point of time, we do not have to. I mean, we do not think it's worth for us to pay just for this automated testing. We do it locally, right? We do it on local machine. It's a SAID thing. So every developer will have to run these test cases on their local machine first before they deploy it into. Before they push their code into GitHub, right? This is how we do it at this point of time. Cool. Any other question?
So I would like to know what were the exact pain points for you? Was the things you listed the pain points why you came to this solution, or was it something else? Like why you went looking for this solution? So I would just like to know what were the issues that you guys were facing on that.
Okay, cool. So if I'm not wrong, your question is that what were the issues that we faced and that's why maybe I or someone in my team researched about this and implemented this solution. This is your question, right? So actually, when we started our project, I mean our project or the project that we are working on at this moment, on my team is working on this specific moment. I was already aware of Cloudflare and Cloudflare pages and workers, right? Even before I started this project, so I have already implemented it. I started using it just to deploy it into the main branch, not for this feature specific thing, but later on as my team grew, we hired more people. Now we are a team of 5 people at currently. We found it really useful when we have to basically test each of those branches. Yeah, cool. Any other question? Anything else? Cool. I think that's it. Cool, guys. I think that's all that I have to say. I mean, it's really hard to pronunciate his name.
Who's my name?
Yeah.
AC.
AC.
Are we done?
Yeah. So I'm done.